kitchen. So many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hello and welcome to the June show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. My name is Dilla Barman in North Carolina. Welcome. Whether this is the first time for you or you're a regular, welcome. We just celebrated our 5th anniversary. We've been doing these shows every month since May 2020. We are a group of Physicians Committee Food for Life instructors. We all teach Food for Life classes. These are classes which are evidence-based and they show us how to stay healthy. And if you have certain conditions you're concerned with, diabetes, certain kinds of cancer, blood pressure, you're an athlete and you want to optimize your diet, we have classes for each of these and many other topics. We have topics for children as well. So today, our topic is so many ancient grains. What are ancient grains? Ancient grains are grains that are grown the way they used to be grown. They're varieties that aren't so popular anymore. Today, often grains are selected for those that have relatively shallow roots and that produce seed quickly. So it's cheaper. They make more money with such products, but they also aren't very sustainable because they have such shallow root systems. So typically, ancient grains have deeper roots, are more sustainable, and many ancient grains never require, by definition, are not genetically modified. They're the ancient grain, and so that's a benefit. I find one of the real benefits of ancient grains, and today I'm going to be working with kamut. So kamut is also called Khorasan. So Khorasan wheat, I think Khorasan literally means wheat in Egyptian. So this is what it looks like. This is the raw Khorasan. You can see it looks, I guess, a little bit like a really thick brown rice. It's not brown rice, but it looks a little bit like that. And this is prepared to go. I pressure cooked it, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. We have lots of good recipes today. Mine is a soup or a stew, and it's using mushrooms and Khorasan, the kamut, and little else. I have some other ideas. Kale, for example, goes great with this. And kale and kamut are a nice combination because the kamut makes the nutrients even more bioavailable. Kamut is a great source of fiber. One serving of 3/4 of a cup of cooked kamut has about 4 grams of fiber. It's a good source of iron. I love the texture. Nutrient-wise, they also have calcium, selenium, magnesium, and zinc. So let's get going with this dish. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you more about the grain, but I'm going to first, in the interest of time, turn my pan on. I'm using a high-quality stainless pan, which is what I always do. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it on, medium-low, and I'm going to add my garlic. You should have an ingredients document, link to the ingredients document. I'm going to add some garlic. Okay, and I'm going to add some carrot. Now this carrot is gorgeous. This is a purple carrot. I don't know if you can see how beautiful it is. The hint with this is you want to cut it fairly thin, at most 1/4 inch. And I like it to have a little bit of chunk with it. If you want it soft, then what you can do is you can parboil it. And the trick for that is you put it in boiling water for 2 or 3 minutes. And then after that, you put it in a bowl of ice water. And that stops the cooking. And that softens the carrot. But I like the chunk in this, so I'm just going to cook it for a minute or so. Okay. Now, how did I prepare the Khorasan, the kamut? Is what I did is I put this in about 3 times as much liquid. I used some vegetable broth, and I think it was half vegetable broth and half water. And I soaked this overnight. The soaking isn't essential, but it enhances the cooking. And then what I did is I pressure cooked for 22 minutes, and I let it come to a natural release. You can also stovetop cook it, and I have the instructions in the recipe, but I pressure cooked it. And then what you do is it's ready to go. If you're going to use it soon, then that's fine, but if you're going to use it sometime later, then you want to decant all of the liquid, which I did. It's in this bowl. And hang on to it because that's your broth. There's no reason not to use that, okay? But if I'm going to let this sit overnight, this might get the grain to be a little bit too soft. So that's why I decanted it. But this is just from yesterday's cooking. I did this last night, overnight pressure cooking. So I'm cooking the garlic and carrot until the garlic is nice and fragrant. And I can smell it. The garlic smells really good. Be careful to stay on low medium. You don't want to add too much heat, and you don't want to burn the pan either. If you do cook the berries, these wheat berries, these Kamut berries, stovetop, it can take 40 to 60 minutes, and it can take even longer. What I do is I haven't done it, but what I've read people do is you cook it partially covered, and after about 35, 40 minutes, just sample it, and if it's soft enough, then you're good to go. A downside of Kamut is it used to be easier to find, at least locally here in North Carolina. I had trouble. I wanted to make this dish, and I haven't made Kamut in a little while, so I went to the store and I realized they don't, at least right now they weren't selling it, so I had to buy this online. So this might be a little bit hard to find locally, but you should be able to find it online. While this is cooking, I wanted to mention I also prepped, let me show you the purple carrot. I'm using a purple carrot, and you can see the cross-section of it is just gorgeous. It looks beautiful. And it smells, it smells and tastes really good. I love purple carrot. Raw, it's just delicious. I ate some of this as I was prepping. Other ingredients that are notable is, I'm using mushroom, and what I did is I actually, just for convenience, got frozen mushroom. You need about 10 ounces of the mushroom. You can use a little bit less. And in the store, the mushroom they had when I shopped was not great, so I thought I'd get the frozen, organic. Nice thing about frozen is it's washed and ready to go, clean and ready to go. What else is interesting here? So I love garlic when I buy garlic. This is one, I didn't use this one. I like when it's already cracked, so it's easy to open. No unusual spices. I am using some thyme. Sage goes even better with this, but I was out of sage. Okay, and you can optionally use a little bit of salt, black pepper. Okay, I am smelling some nice garlic here, and the carrot is cooking down. It's not cooking down, but it's cooking. It's still reasonably firm, and that's okay because the soup, this will be firm. And again, suit your preference. If when you eat this dish and you want the carrot to be really soft, parboil it. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to call that success. And now I'm going to make my dish nice and thick like a soup. I'm just going to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So we're using the Kamut berries. We're using some broth. This is what it cooked in. And then I roasted a bell pepper. Again, I've done this a number of times in the past. So I took this pepper and I flame roasted it. And in the interest of time, I did that in advance. I let it sit for a while, and I put it under cold running water, and I caressed it, and much of the char came off, and then I just chopped it. You can optionally add some white beans to this. So white beans add a very nice nutrient boost to it, but I thought for today's dish, especially with it getting warmer, I thought it would be nice to have a simple dish, right? So you don't have to have beans and everything, but white beans go great with this. Kale goes really well with this too, but I decided to omit the kale. And that's about it. I'm excited about using this paprika. A good friend of mine, her name is Janet. If you're watching, Janet, hello. Thank you so much. Janet brought this back. She went to Hungary a couple of weeks ago, and she brought paprika, and she brought regular paprika, and she got a sweet paprika, which I haven't opened yet. I've never had sweet paprika. I wonder what that's going to be like. Do you see how the carrot is glistening? This is saying, Dillip, let's keep going. I'm ready. I'm sweating. I'm ready to make the soup. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to look at my notes to make sure I didn't forget anything. I am going to add If I didn't flame roast the pepper, I'd add the pepper now. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add my broth. Okay, so here comes the broth. And you can, and what I'm going to do right away is, I didn't get any sticking, but just to be sure, I'm going to do a little rub in here. Okay, and I'm going to add basically the other ingredients. I'm going to start with the mushroom because it's frozen. That's the only reason to give it a head start in warming up. So here's my 10 ounces of mushroom. I think it's a little heavy for this dish, but that's okay. We'll have a lot of mushrooms in here. You can go with 8 ounces, but I decided to, the frozen bag was 10 ounces, and I said, I'll just use it all up. But this is a lot of mushroom. And I'm going to add the Kamut berries. Here they are. So they go in. I cooked these overnight, and by now they're cool. They're not warm, so I refrigerated them. So all I'm doing now is I'm letting the wheat berries warm up. That's all. I'm not cooking them. Okay, and then I'm going to add the bell pepper, the roasted bell pepper, and it's basically done. I'm going to be adding some spices too. I'm going to mix that in. It's looking pretty promising, isn't it? It's a tasty, hearty, easy soup. I'm going to be adding some lemon juice. Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So you want to bring it back to boil. This is where, if you're using cooked beans, you'd add the cooked beans, and you'd add the kale. What I'd do with the kale is I'd wash the kale, I'd hand strip it from the stem, I'd compost the stems or use it in a smoothie, and then I would hand rip the kale into, half-inch, three-quarter-inch pieces, 1-inch pieces. It's going to cook down, and add it, okay? If you want a little extra flavor, you can add some mint leaves if you want. It doesn't need it, though, okay? That's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it come to a boil. Ancient grains are great. I hope the recipes we're presenting today, I hope that you'll try some or all of them. Make it your own. Make changes. I like it really chunky. I called this, I think, a stew. And when I was kind of perfecting this recipe, I used less broth, and it's more stew-like, but I knew a lot of people like it a little bit more soupy. So the amount of broth you add is up to you. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some spices. I'm going to add the paprika. Okay? So here goes the paprika. You can use smoked paprika if you'd like. I'm using this, and I have suggested quantities. I'm putting extra paprika in because this paprika is really good. This paprika isn't too spicy, so it's quite good. And then here comes the thyme. Okay, let's add some thyme. A little bit goes a long way. You know, when you use dried herbs, they're equivalent to about 3 times as much fresh. Let's add a little bit of black pepper. You don't want to add too much black pepper with the paprika, so I'll add a little bit. And then lemon juice really helps. When I was working on this recipe, I didn't have lemon juice initially, and I said, this is really good, but something's missing, and it's lemon juice. So I squeezed some fresh lemon. You can use lime. Lime is great. Meyer lemon's great. You can use tangerines, too. I'm really sad it's June, so triple cross season. I'm a big fan of tangerines, triple cross tangerines. They're long gone, but there's still some tangerines in the market. What am I forgetting? Oh, garlic salt, garlic powder, or garlic salt. We add a little garlic powder. Okay, and then finally, this is optional. Some people want to restrict their salt consumption, so I'm going to use some sea salt. And in this case, it's not an iodized salt. So be careful when you do use salt. Make sure you have a source of iodized salt. So if you use salts like this that are not iodized, it's okay once in a while, but make sure that you are using, if you are using salt, that your typical salt is an iodized one. So you don't need the salt. I'm adding a little bit. The salt really brings out the flavors in lots of things, and especially in the soup. It's really nice. Just before showtime, I was actually eating some of the wheat berries plain. It was certainly good, but with some salt and seasonings, it's even better. So let's call that success. I'm going to get a ladle. Here we go. Okay, so let's give it a try. You can see how rich it looks. In the interest of the show, that's why I'm serving it now. But at home, you know, when you simmer ingredients, they develop more and more flavor. This dish will be really even better left over. You know, I'll refrigerate it, and the next day or two serve it again, and it's going to be even better because all the flavors will get to meet each other, become friends, and really meld together. Okay? So there we go. Let's give it a try. So there's my ancient grain soup. The mushrooms go great with it. I love the texture of the grain. It's delicious. I love how the mushroom mixes in with the grain. The pepper adds its own flavor. A little bit of kale would have been nice. I think you'll like it. The paprika's kicking in. Easy, nutritious soup. I hope you'll give it a try. So we're excited about these grains. Keep ideas coming. If you have ideas of things you'd like us to cook, let us know. We've been doing it for 5 years, and we still have lots of ideas, but we'd love to hear your ideas. Let me check. Oh, the next cook in the kitchen is Janin Orhan. Janin is our only, I think she's our only Food for Life instructor in United Arab Emirates. And she's making something that's called Bulgur-Otto. I don't know what Bulgur-Otto is, but she told me it's a risotto-like dish, and I love risotto. So Janin, take it away. And before I pass it on to you, we'll be back. I'll be back for Q&A afterwards. So ask questions anytime. And if you ask questions at the end, we're going to have a couple giveaways. So take it away, Janin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen in Abu Dhabi. Merhaba. Thank you, Dilip, for the introduction, and Eid Mubarak to all those who are celebrating. So many ancient grains, and mine is wheat, very much at home around this part of the world, and especially my home country, Turkey. It was cultivated, it's estimated to be cultivated in the Fertile Crescent for over 10,000 years. So it's been around for a long time. I guess we can call it ancient. And bulgur, is sort of parboiled and dried again, was known to be used that way some 4,000 years. So that's what research online says. This is bulgur. It's cracked wheat. They're not whole pieces. They're smaller. It comes in many different grades. It can be very fine, and it has different uses. Or this is sort of a medium grind. They're smaller chunks. Some are even bigger chunks. So today I used bulgur to make like a risotto. So I call it Bulgur-Otto. And bulgur, of course, growing up in Turkey, in my family, it was used a lot. My mom would make it plain or with chopped tomatoes and onions in a tomatoey way. But today I used some of the steps of risotto and some not. So I made a mixture. I started by making a sofrito, the very finely chopped small dice, as we call it, onions, celery, and carrot. I also used some garlic. Instead of fine chopping, I smushed it using this gizmo. How can you live without it? Of course, the recipe is in our recipe booklet. I just wanted to show you the ingredients I have. I have a little salt, some chili, some black pepper, some nutritional yeast, and lemon. I am using the zest of a whole lemon, which comes to about 1 teaspoon, and the juice. So I have about 2 tablespoons of juice. So bulgur takes a little bit of cooking, and mine has been cooking and now resting for the last 5 minutes. So it's been about 20 minutes of cooking altogether. It's hot to the touch. I also made a broth. I used a ready-made vegetable broth, but I added a few sprigs of thyme to it to just alter and give it an earthier flavor. I also have quite a bit of parsley in this recipe, and it's all chopped here. So there's a half a cup plus extra for decorating. Oh, I forgot my plate to dish it out, and sorry for disappearing for a minute. And so here I am back again. My bulgur has been sort of resting and steeping in its own steam for the last 5 minutes or so. And I'm going to do the finishing touches here. I have my chopped parsley and dill. Now, you may feel free to use whatever fresh herbs you like the flavor of. These are what I had at home today, and that's why I've used it. So dill and parsley, half a cup after it's been cooked. So you can see the steam coming out. And I'm going to put it all in. And give it a, you can maybe see it in my pot. I'm stirring it. And I wanted to make this lemony feel. So I used half of that lemon zest while it was cooking. And half of it I'm going to add now. So, and I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I put it in to give it a summery, zingy feeling. And here it is. Just mix, mix, mix. It's looking good. Okay. And now I add the rest of the lemon zest because I like it to stay fresh. When I put it in while it's cooking, I feel that the flavor disappears. So this time I have the zest freshly added and give it, of course, another twirl. And here we are. It's all nicely mixed. The thyme I had added to the broth. Therefore, I used the sieve afterwards to, because you can see here that I have all these sprigs of thyme. I didn't want those falling into the bulgur, and that's why I kept it. Now, secret weapon for me is to add couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast. That's optional if you may want to or may not want to, but it gives sort of a creamier feeling. And I have some more hot water here. I'm just going to add a little hot water to help. Ooh, looking good. Okay, and when we make risotto with rice, we want it to be al dente a little bit, and we want it to also be creamy and smooth. So I'm looking in here, and this is all fine and dandy, but there's absolutely no liquid left. So I'm going to just add a couple more tablespoons of water to give it a creamier feeling. Okay. Oof, it was very good. And now I can serve it. Of course, you can sprinkle some more nutritional yeast on top after you've done it. And if you have vegan parmesan made with cashews and nutritional yeast and a little bit of garlic, it will also be wonderful on this. But today I don't. So here's my colorful, beautiful, creamy looking bulgur. It's looking so pretty. And I have this extra, so I'm putting extra on top. Ta-da! To make it look even prettier. So here it is. It's lovely. And I'm first going to have a taste of it without extra nutritional yeast. It is so refreshing. Maybe I forgot to add some a sprinkle of. This is not spicy. You may of course use spicy chili flakes and some black pepper and a sprinkle of nutritional yeast on top. Now let's give it another taste test. Has it gone to another level? Whoop, hot. It's a very lovely bulgur. I can recommend it to all of you to try at home. And it's very summery because the lemon gives it an amazing freshness. The lemon juice also gives it this tanginess. And the zest just comes through. And the flavors from the sofrito, from the threesome, is just lovely. And the broth with the added thyme in it has given it a earthy flavor. This is perfect on its own. You may serve it with a salad on the side, or you can use it as a side dish to a stew or something you may have, but it's absolutely lovely as it is. And it surely wouldn't be bad if you made it and chilled it and used it as a bulgur salad and add maybe some more fresh tomatoes and other things. It will be an amazing dish, versatile and easy to use. Well, thank you for this. Now I'll say goodbye and hand it over to Shoba, who will be making a wonderful millet dish. And I love millet, and I'm so curious to see what she has to make. Bye, everybody. Maas salam from Abu Dhabi. And next time, I might be in Italy. See you then. Bye.
Namaste. Welcome to So Many Cooks in the Kitchen from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Shobha Swami, and today, as part of our Ancient Grain series, I'm going to showcase to you an ancient grain from India called millets. Millets are grown with very little water as compared to rice and wheat and others, and they're a staple in India. And today's dish is going to be millet khichdi. Khichdi, as many of you know, is a staple in Ayurvedic lifestyle, as well as yoga practitioners and all others across the globe make khichdi. It is a comfort food given even babies and the elderly can all eat it, digest it, and feel energized by this one dish. So come join me. Let's make this together. I have 1 cup of millets here, as you may see, and then 1 cup of yellow moong, which is a split moong that I've soaked for a couple of hours. And then the spices that I'm going to use, let me introduce you to them. I'm using about half a teaspoon of turmeric, about half a teaspoon of pepper, and the combination works really well together and makes everything, the turmeric, bioavailable to us in our bodies. And then about a tablespoon of curry leaves, I have dried curry leaves here today. You can use the fresh ones or dried ones. And then about a teaspoon or two of cumin seeds. If you don't have cumin seeds and have cumin powder, you can substitute that. But cumin is an important. The cumin, the pepper, the turmeric are three important ingredients here, and the others are optional. And then a little bit of salt to taste. And then I have a hint, a 1/8 teaspoon of hing or asafoetida. It is a digestive and flavor enhancer that we use quite a bit. It's from the gum of a tree back in India in the tropical country. So that's asafoetida or hing. And in addition to that, I'll be using about 1 tablespoon of finely diced ginger and 1 whole big jalapeno. We like it spicy at home, so I'm making this for our home. So that's what we are using. And then lots of vegetables. As you can see, more than 2 cups of peas and carrots frozen I'm using. And then here are the leftover cauliflower leaves. I've diced them really fine and I'm using that because I buy organic and I use the entire head of cauliflower, including the leaves. And then here are beet greens. Same with beets. I buy beets with the greens and then use the greens like this as part of khichdi. Here is the 1 cup of millet that I have soaked for 2 to 4 hours and add this to the instant pot. And we are going to add this 1 cup of moong that has also been soaked. So 1 cup of millets and 1 cup of moong dal, which has been soaked. And this moong dal is really good for digestion, doesn't give you gas, and it's meant for even babies and elderly alike. I'm going to add all the vegetables, 2 cups of peas and carrots here. There you go. Our leaves, like I told you, I have, I use everything that we buy in terms, especially when we buy organic, is just very good to use up the entire thing and not have to waste any part of the vegetable. It's almost getting filled up here. And I'm using the beet greens as well. Okay. So you can see that it's almost coming to almost filled up. This is the amount of vegetables you should be eating. Our nutritional guidelines tell us that we should be eating 5 servings of vegetables and 5 servings of fruits every single day, and definitely at least a minimum of 3 servings of greens. So this will help us achieve our goal of eating a lot of greens. And now I'm going to add all the spices that I already mentioned: turmeric, black pepper, some curry leaves, and the key ingredient here is cumin as well. Turmeric, black pepper, cumin are the 3 basic ingredients, salt, and a little bit of hing. So I'm going to make sure that everything is nicely mixed. So add all this. And then ginger. And of course, jalapenos are optional. Seems like I underestimated. I should have started with the 6-quart instant pot, but for today's purposes, this should work well. So now I'm going to add the water. Since I've soaked it for 2 to 4 hours, I'm only using about 1 1/4 cup per cup of grain or lentils. So there's 1 cup of millets that has already been pre-soaked and 1 cup of moong dal pre-soaked. So I'm using 1 1/4 for each of those. So 2.5 total. So I've taken 2.5 cups of water total, and you will not even believe how wonderfully yummy this will turn up. So close it here. All we have to do is, close it. I'm going to be turning this on for about 2 minutes. That's it. So put it in manual. It's 5 minutes, so I will just cook it for 2 minutes. That's it. Everything will come together really well, and I'll show you how it tastes. I have some already pre-made, and let me give it a taste test and tell you how it tastes. I have some pre-made already, so I'm going to do a taste test and tell you how yummy it is. So let me try this. Very flavorful. Make this often. Kids will like it. Adults will like it. Grandparents will like it. Make this often. Choose your favorite vegetables to add to this. And over to our next instructor.
Well, hello everyone and welcome. And aren't all these recipes that we have featured for you today, don't they all look amazing? I know I'm hungry. My name is Tammy Robertson. I am a registered nurse and the founder of Planted into Wellness, and I'm coming to you from sunny Southwest Florida here in the US. And I'm bringing to you a wonderful, quick, and easy recipe that I know I often get a lot of questions about. Hey, I don't have a lot of time. What can I prepare that's delicious and healthy and really quick? And this is one of these recipes. So today's recipe is quinoa, cranberry, and tofu salad. It's got some very easy, simple ingredients that anyone in the household could prepare. I frankly love it because not only is it great here for Florida and in the summertime, but you could also prepare it with warm as well. If it's in the winter, it's easily, you can bring it to work easily. It travels really well. You can even bring it to things like potlucks and everything. And I've gotten so many amazing comments and feedback on how much people love this recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have our ingredients. We have some lemon juice here, and I'm using all organic produce whenever I can. And if I can't find it, I don't worry about it. I go ahead and use what's available. And then I also have some orange juice here. And then I've got some Dijon mustard right in here. And I've got a mixture of oregano, salt, and pepper in here. And then we've got some spinach that we're going to be adding as well. We've got our cooked quinoa, the star of our show. And we've got some organic extra firm tofu that we're going to prepare as well. And then we've got some dried cranberries. We've got some fresh parsley here. And then we've got some scallions or some green onions. So we're going to get started just really putting it all together. But before we do, I like to always add a little bit of knowledge during my presentation. So first we're going to get the dressing started. So we're going to add these first 4 ingredients, the lemon juice, and then we're going to add the orange juice, going to add our seasonings, and our Dijon mustard. I'm going to add all this together. And we're going to whisk this up and then set it aside. Now, while I'm whisking, our star of the show is quinoa. And actually, a lot of people say that quinoa, we think of it as a grain, right? It actually isn't a grain. It's a relative, believe it or not, of spinach, chard, and beets. It's actually a pseudo cereal, but for today's purposes, let's just go ahead and call it a grain. That's what we're all most familiar with. All right, so we've got our dressing here. And we'll set that aside for the time being. So basically, a little history on quinoa. So it does come, there are red varieties, black varieties, and white varieties. The white variety is what we have here today that I am going to show you. And this white variety here, this is the most common that you'll see. Sometimes you'll see a tri-blend, but this is the most common and the most used. The red variety is more hardy, and that red variety works really well in soups and in salads because it holds up really well. And then there's the black variety, which is the most rare, at least here in the United States, black quinoa. And that tends to be slightly sweeter than its red and white counterparts. And unlike rice, especially brown rice, which we like to use instead of white rice, brown rice normally takes about 30 minutes or so to cook and prepare. Quinoa cooks in about half that time at only 15 minutes. So what I always recommend is you take your quinoa, rinse it with cool water for about 30 seconds. And what does that do? That helps to remove the saponins or saponins from the quinoa that can make the quinoa taste just slightly bitter. So you get rid of that, and then you go ahead, you put your water. Normally the ratio tends to be about 2 parts liquid to 1 part quinoa. So either you can use veggie broth or water, and put that in your pot, add your uncooked quinoa to it, bring it to a boil. Once it starts boiling, you want to turn that down, let it simmer for, about 10, 15 minutes. Check to make sure that once all that water is gone or broth is gone, then you can go ahead and proceed with the recipe. And then your quinoa is actually done. I also love the quinoa so much because it's got a lot of wonderful properties and a great history. Humans have been consuming quinoa for about 4,000 years. And most quinoa, about 80% of quinoa is located in South America, harvested from Peru and Bolivia. And about 25 years ago, NASA actually declared quinoa as a perfect snack for astronauts on long-term missions because it's rich in minerals, it's gluten-free, and got a whole lot of protein in it. Also, quinoa was a very important crop for the ancient Incan Empire. They referred to it as the mother of all grains, and it has been eaten for thousands of years in South America. So about 1 cup of cooked quinoa will deliver about 8 grams of protein, and about 5 grams of fiber, lots of other minerals like manganese, magnesium, phosphorus, folate, copper, iron, zinc, potassium, all that good stuff. I just nerd out on this because that's the type of nurse I am. I'm a nerdy nurse. It's really nice too because it's gluten-free. So it's really appropriate for those people who have a gluten intolerance. And also it has a low glycemic index, which is great for blood sugar control. And quinoa has about a 53 on glycemic index. And so it's also got lots of iron for women. And it's a great grain. I use it from breakfast. You can use it instead of oatmeal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. There's lots of great recipes out there. So altogether, quinoa is one of my favorites. All right, back to our recipe. So after we have made our dressing, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. Before we actually do that, I'm going to take our ingredients and I'm going to start chopping things up. So we have here our green onions, and in our family we like a lot of green onions. So I'm just going to take off the very tops and very bottoms, and then I'm just going to slice. Let me grab the snake here. We're just going to slice this up after I've washed them thoroughly. Sometimes you get a little dirt in there, but hey, in that dirt is your vitamin B12, so produced by the bacteria in the ground. So hey, a little dirt won't hurt. So this is what's going to go in and top it at the very end here. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish topping the white bits and the green bits. And then at the end, I'm going to give you guys some alternatives and some additions. All right. So we've got that. We're going to start off with our quinoa. Put this over here. And we're going to add our quinoa to our bowl first. Then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Okay. And we've also got our parsley. Kind of cool spare bit of scallion here. And our parsley. So the parsley you can either leave whole, or you can chop it a little bit. So I'm just gonna grab as much as I can together here and chop this. Also, another great thing, if you don't have a lot of time, a great option too with the quinoa is buy it frozen. You can get organic frozen quinoa in the freezer section next to the, in the grain section, and it is amazing. And all you have to do is microwave it and poof, Bob's your uncle. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish with that, finish with this. And now we're going to take our tofu. So the recipe says you can crumble this tofu. I prefer to kind of cube my tofu. And I'm going to show you how I do that right here. So I'm going to take my tofu here, just move our little scallions over here. And I'm actually going to use this knife, I believe. Okay. So I'm going to cube the tofu. I'm going to take my block of tofu here. It's going to divide it down the middle. And then I'm going to divide it down in half again. And then take each one of the halves and turn it and divide those into 4 slices. And then you've got your block here, and then this will give you our bite-sized pieces that we're going to add in here. And this is just however it is that you like to, however big or small that you like. I like mine to be about, you can see that, about this big. So about the size of the first part of like my index finger. That'll work. And then do the same thing with the other half. Again, half it again, and half the half side. All about halves here. And just chop away. All right. So that is our tofu. And again, you can crumble it. You can make it bigger pieces, smaller pieces. I prefer to have pieces that are kind of bite-sized. So we're going to go ahead and add all this, and then, so we're going to add our tofu here. And tofu. Let's not forget tofu too. They call me Tofu Tammy. Tofu is also an amazing, super versatile food. Also been eaten in parts of Asia for millennia, thousands and thousands of years. excellent, high in protein, very good for breast health, prostate health, and unfortunately, tofu got a bad rap. I think it was back through the 80s or so, when they were doing a lot of research with rodents, and they found out that if you were a rodent, yes, soy is not good for you, but if you are human, it is. And they found out later in their human studies that soy is actually very beneficial for all stages of life, men, women, boys, girls, children. It's great for everyone. All right. And then, last but not least, we're going to get our baby spinach. And I'm just going to rough chop our baby spinach. And so the great thing about this recipe is it's very versatile. So I'm just taking a handful here. This spinach is already triple washed, so you can make this again as small or large a piece as you like. I'm just gonna rough chop, so we're not gonna whole mouthful of spinach here. Gonna add that in. And gonna add a little bit more because why not? It's spinach. Everybody loves spinach in my house. And yeah, it's just an amazing salad that is great for anytime. Okay, that's about as rough chopped as we like it here. So we're going to put that in there. All right. And now all we have to do is add our cranberries. And then we're also going to add our parsley. And now we're going to give it a nice whirl. So if you are taking this recipe someplace, don't dress it until you're actually ready to eat it. And it's once you do that, all those wonderful, beautiful flavors come in, and it's great. So we store this in our refrigerator, and then when we come home or when we're ready to eat it, all we do is take out a portion and eat it and dress it. I'm going to show you what this looks like here so you can see it. And there it is up close. Doesn't that look amazing? Yum. And I'm going to go ahead and dish myself up a little bit because it's time to eat. And so this is how we prepare it. Get our little whisk. Put a little bit in there. And it's all done. Well, there you go. Some pro tips. Again, I like to tell people kind of use this as a guide. If there's something that you don't like in this recipe, you can always substitute it. Some great substitutes that people have used before. Instead of quinoa, you can use another grain, ancient grain, couscous. You could use that. You could use brown rice, jade rice. You can use black or purple rice. You can use red rice. Any type of grain would work really well in here. If you're not a fan of tofu, you could use tempeh. You could use beans. I've done both ways, and it's both delicious, especially with like a smoky tempeh. And then you can also add other things in here. I've added fresh dill, fresh chives. It's just, you can really, really make it your own. I've used cilantro in there as well. So feel free to change things up and make it your own and make it really enjoyable for you and your family. Well, I want to thank you for joining me here in my kitchen, and I hope that you enjoy this quinoa cranberry and tofu salad. And I hope that you get that everyone that you prepare it for loves it just as much as we do here in my family, and to everyone that I've served it with. And thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, Tammy. Oh my goodness. I love that recipe. I know you and I have tried that before together in Washington, D.C., and that was one of our favorites, wasn't it? So I'm so glad you made that one and shared it with everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm Cody Stubbe. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm going to be making a blueberry buckwheat pancake, or multiple pancakes, but I'll just make one for demonstration for you. So this is a great recipe. Actually, we actually made this recipe, only I've adjusted it to add the buckwheat for this certain show today. But this was actually one of Carolyn's recipes that Dilip and Carolyn and I demonstrated. It was for, let's see, the cruise that we did a year ago. And anyway, so what I did was I actually did like half of the wheat flour and half buckwheat. And I've also done this recipe with half the wheat flour and then half like cornmeal, which kind of gives it a fun, different flavor as well. And my kids like both flavors, or both different profiles, so it's really fun. So what we're gonna have here is about a half a cup of your whole wheat flour. And I'm gonna add into that, and I always try and get the organic if you can. I'm gonna add into that some organic buckwheat flour. Now, buckwheat is naturally gluten-free, which is nice if you are gluten-free, but the whole wheat is not, so keep that in mind. Buckwheat is very nutritious. It's got great fibers, got great minerals, including magnesium. It can help reduce inflammation, so it's a wonderful one to add. So I'm going to get about a half a cup of this buckwheat, ground up buckwheat. I add it in here. It's got just a little bit different texture. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of more of a gray color. This one is. All right, and you can put all your dry ingredients into one bowl. All right, I'm going to add in some baking powder. It's about 2 teaspoons full. Gonna add in some you can do coconut sugar. I did just a little bit of brown sugar here because that's all I had on hand. You could do whatever kind of sugars, or you could substitute this for a little bit of maple syrup instead, and then just maybe not put as much milk in at the end here. So a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of salt. And one thing I really want to show you today is, like, we show you all these wonderful recipes, right? But it's so easy just to make them your own with what ingredients you have available to you. Okay, so I mixed that up real nicely here. You want to do all those dry ingredients. And then here, I'm going to do my wet ingredients in a bowl. I like to mix those completely separately and then add the wet into the dry here. Okay, so I need some applesauce. That's going to be like your oil replacement. And I think I just need 2 tablespoons. So I like these little individual cups here. They work really nicely for baking. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I need a little bit of vanilla, like a half a teaspoon. I think I mentioned on our previous show to try and get some pure vanilla extract if you can. Okay, I'm just gonna gently whisk this up. Just want to ensure I have all of my ingredients here. Okay, so now I got my dry ingredients. I'm going to add my wet ingredients to it. And whisk this up good. Okay. Okay, it's looking great. It's going to be a little on the thicker side, which will be just fine. Those will fluff up. But I'm going to turn on this. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it's going to make a little bit of noise. If this is too thick, we can add a little extra plant-based milk to it, which I have here. I just have a little silk on hand. Okay. It's not going to take very long at all to heat up. And then I have a little bit of vegetable spray, just because I don't want this to stick. And a lot of times I'll just take like a little measuring spoon, like maybe 1/4 a cup. You scoop it out. Whoops. You always want to test a little bit, see if it's hot enough. And it's sizzling, so yep, it's hot enough. And we'll sauna a little more to that. And then I kind of just even it out. So kind of like that shape. Okay, these are going to cook really quickly. So when I start seeing the bubbles come through the pancake, then I know it's time to flip it. But first, before I flip it, I'm going to put in some blueberries. These are some delicious organic blueberries that I got today. Or just however you want on there. It's good. Just kind of like that. Now, the thing when I flip it is that they're going to kind of cook a little bit differently. And sometimes they get so hot that they kind of burst. And then, you know, you get like berry juice all over one side of the pancake. That is totally fine. Woo! Gotta kind of hold this on. Almost ready to flip. You see that steaming just a little bit there. I'm curious if any of you guys have ever made buckwheat pancakes or pancakes with cornmeal. So if you have, you'll just have to put it in the comments so we can see, because I'm really curious what you guys like to put in your pancake. All right, flip it. Look at that. It turned out not too bad. Usually when I'm cooking a big breakfast with these pancakes, they have like a griddle. This long rectangular. It is has like a scratch-free coating on it. Usually this stuff's not, you know, ideal, but when it comes to pancakes, things that really tend to stick to like a cast iron or something that doesn't have any kind of coating, it's always good to try and find something that will work so things don't stick. It's almost done here. To loosen the edge and just kind of take a little peek under there. And that baking powder in there will kind of fluff them up a little bit, which makes it really nice. But hey, I think this is done, you guys. So I'm going to shut this off. And then we'll see how this turned out. There. And you can actually see the blueberries. So put about 5 of them on there. And you can add more, right? I always want to add more berries. So good. And then if you want a little extra sweetener, I have just a tiny little bit of pure maple syrup you could drizzle over there. And then, of course, I have to try it, right? Yeah, I really think you're going to like the buckwheat. It's so good and good for you. It's nothing bite. All right. Woo! So hot. Oh, so good. And fluffy. It's just amazing how that just fluffed right up. That's so good. Sorry, popping with my mouth full.
But anyway, I hope you'll try it. Buckwheat's so healthy for you. It's one of those wonderful ancient grains. And yeah, just give it a try. And like I said, tweak this recipe. If you want to do, instead of the buckwheat, you can do half with cornmeal in your whole wheat. And just try that. Just try different flavors. It's so much fun. But anyway, I'm done with my pancake recipe. I hope you give it a try. Let us know. And please join us for Q&A. We have Carolyn Strickland up next, and I'm excited to see what she's going to make for us today and which ancient green she's going to be incorporating. So thank you, and take it away, Carolyn.
Thanks, Cody. So I love buckwheat pancakes, and I'm really glad you just made those because they're delicious. I never had one until my in-laws in West Virginia introduced me to buckwheat pancakes, and they are really yummy. We have them a lot at their house. So today I'm using an ancient grain that probably a lot of people have never heard of. It is called Freekeh, 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 and it is a culinary staple in North Africa. So it's actually made by harvesting green durum wheat, so it's not fully ripe yet, and then it's roasted over an open flame and then rubbed, and it gives it a really smoky, nutty flavor. So I find it in big bags like this on Amazon. It's not something I've ever seen in a store, but I read about it a few years ago, and it just sounded so interesting because it's actually really high in fiber, really high in protein. In fact, it's higher in fiber and protein than brown rice and quinoa, but lower in calories. So really, really good. It can help with your digestion. It helps with better blood sugar control. And like I said, lots of fiber, lots of protein, prebiotics, lots of B vitamins, manganese, magnesium, zinc, iron. It also contains things that we use for eye health. So lutein and zeaxanthin, it actually contains those. So yeah, so we're making Freekeh. Get freaky with our Freekeh. And we already cooked it. So I want to show you how much it expands. So if you look at, I started with just a half a cup of the grains, and then I rinsed it. And then after it's cooked, it's that much. So it really expands. It gets an awful lot bigger. So you want to cook it with a half a cup, takes just 1 cup of water, maybe 1 1/4 cups of water. And then you bring both of those things to a boil. You can go ahead and add the grain to the water and bring everything to a boil. And when it comes to a boil, let it simmer on medium for about 25 minutes or so. Just take it off the heat and let it cool down to room temperature. So this is cooling down to room temperature. And in the meantime, we'll chop 1 medium cucumber, and I'm going to go ahead and add all this stuff to the bowl so you can see what I'm doing. So 1 medium cucumber chopped in those little quarter moons, about 1/4 of an inch pieces, and then 1 1/2 cups of parsley. So parsley is super good for you. When you make traditional tabouli salad, which is what we're making with the Freekeh today, tabouli salad, when you make traditional tabouli salad, usually bulgur wheat, like what Jonan used earlier today, is what is used in bulgur wheat. But for this, we're using the Freekeh. So parsley is one of the main ingredients in a tabouli salad. Parsley is super good for you with vitamins A, C, K, folate, iron, lots of antioxidants, lots of calcium. And then we're adding fresh mint. So somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 cup of fresh mint. And you want to use peppermint, probably not spearmint, or else your tabouli salad might taste like chewing gum. And then we have a cup of chopped cherry tomatoes. Just add all those in. And 3 green onions chopped up. And we have a clove or 2 of garlic minced. So if you really like garlic, you can go for more. And we have 3 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And I'm just going to pour all of that over and get that mixed up. Looks pretty already. And then we'll add the cooked Freekeh. This is a super simple recipe. Finding freekeh may be the hardest part. Hopefully you can find some freekeh or order it online. I know Amazon has it. There's probably a few different websites where you can find it. You may be able to find it at an international grocery store because, like I said, it is a staple in Northern Africa. Okay, get that all mixed together. The great part about this salad is that cucumbers and tomatoes are in season. It is perfect for summer. In fact, I saw tomatoes and cucumbers this morning at the farmer's market. And fresh parsley, actually, is also in season. Look how beautiful. It's just a gorgeous salad, very tasty. And one of my favorite parts about freekeh is that it tastes smoky or nutty. It really does have a smoky flavor to it. And one of my favorite seasonings is smoked paprika. I don't even need to put it in here because it already has that smoky flavor from smoking those grains over an open flame. So it gives it a really great flavor. Because it is made from young durum wheat, it is not gluten-free, but I couldn't guarantee that it was. I don't think it is. But this is just a really, really tasty thing. I think because this is just a really simple recipe, I think you could, if you wanted to make a whole meal of it, add maybe a can of rinsed and drained chickpeas. That could be really good. Maybe some chopped or smoked, tofu, like tofu cubes that have already been cooked, would be really nice in it. But really simple recipe, perfect for summer with all those great flavors of the lemon juice and the parsley and the tomatoes and the cucumbers. And it's just in that nice smoky flavor. It really is just delicious. So if you want to add maybe a little bit of iodized sea salt, just a pinch, maybe some fresh cracked pepper. So it's a fantastic recipe, and it really, if you could want to use any other of our ancient grains in it, you could do that too. So you could substitute, I think for most of our recipes today, you could probably substitute out one grain for another in a lot of cases. So, but we can talk about that more during Q&A if anybody wants to know what substitutions they can do. Speaking of Q&A, so today we're giving away, I think it's a magazine subscription and a book called Ancient Grains. So, but be sure to ask a question during Q&A because then you will be entered in the drawing for one of those fun prizes. So I'm going to send it back over to Dilip and we can go ahead and start Q&A.
All right. Well, let me bring Cody in too. And this is, we're going to be doing Q&A today. So great recipes. And Cody, your recipe has stimulated a lot of discussion, a lot of good points. So maybe we should start there. Let me ask those who ask questions. Now is the time to post again. We'll start making a list. But I will ask. There was a question that came up about blueberries. So Cody, the question was to avoid the splattering of the blueberries, would it be better to use frozen?
Well, you could, but I don't know if those are going to be thawed enough. You saw how quickly it took me to cook that pancake. And I think that they may be thawed, but they might still be cold. And they might be a little extra runny too. So fresh ones, I like the fresh ones better if you can. Or let your frozen ones maybe thaw to room temperature and then try it and see. You might have to drain off the excess fluid if there is any in that bag of blueberries or however you get them. But I wouldn't want to put them in dripping wet. I would kind of have them dried off and then put them in the top.
I'm not. I know the three of us made pancakes together, and I'm not great at making pancakes. You guys are better than I am. My daughter is better than I am, actually. But when I do make pancakes, I have occasionally used frozen blueberries. But as Cody said, I didn't let them be frozen. I let them sit in the pan, in a bowl for a little while, and then I either put the berries and then decant the juice and use the juice for something else, or just put the juice in and get purple pancakes. That's okay too.
Yeah, that's always fun. Like that.
Now, a good question came in. So, Kathy, good to see you. We haven't seen you for a few shows. So, Kathy says, I missed the beginning. What makes a grain an ancient grain? And I did kick off the show talking about that. So, an ancient grain is a grain that was grown a long time ago and that, by definition, cannot be genetically modified. there's two really cool things about ancient grains, and Karen Osborne helped share some of this with me as I was preparing for the show. She's a food expert. So ancient grains have really deep root systems, and so they're much more sustainable. They can survive droughts, for example. But we've been breeding grains to be very shallow root systems and to have more seeds quickly. And so, farmers make more money because they're more productive. But the ancient grains, not only are they more sustainable, but they generally are much more nutritious as well. And that's what makes a grain an ancient grain. Would Cody or Carolyn, you would like to add anything to that?
No, I think that was pretty. Yep, you did it. That was a good explanation.
Yeah, good job.
Okay. Cody, would you make a list of people asking questions? So Kathy would be the first one, please.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I hope that helps. And then here's something for you, Cody, from Janet. So can we get Cody's recipe though? So I made Cody's recipe. It was the black bean pudding. It was really good.
Thanks. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. The family loves it. They just eat it all up. I have to make like at least a double batch of it, and it's all gone. It's great to put fresh fruit on too.
Well, honestly, Cody sent it to me like right after the show, but our workflow is Janin is the one who puts the recipes together, and I just yesterday sent it to Janin, so
Oh, I see.
so hopefully we'll add it to the document, and you'll see
Yeah.
it soon. By the way, what do you guys think of our new naming convention for our recipes? Now they're called what? smck.recipe / for example, ancient grains.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, there's a lot of questions coming in. So Janet, so let's add Janet to the list. Is it okay to eat uncooked tofu? I've always marinated and baked it. Absolutely.
Yep.
I love raw tofu. If you many salad bars will have cubes of tofu. Sometimes like Whole Foods Market has either raw tofu or they have it marinated with some oil or something, but they have garlic in it. I love raw tofu. I like tofu in all its forms, and it's perfectly fine. Don't forget, tofu is not really uncooked. It's been the soybeans that have been cooked and made into this cake. So, but I mean, you can eat. Well, I guess you can't eat raw edamame, can you? Maybe you can. You might be able to. But
not that I know of. I think you probably are supposed to cook.
Yeah, but tofu, absolutely.
But we make the eggless egg salad out of just cut up cubes of little. You don't have to cook it at all. You just cut up the little cake of tofu into cubes and make eggless egg salad. So yeah, you can eat it raw.
Kathy has a good question. I wish Karen were on the show today. Does the United States produce any ancient grains? I think so. But I think Kamut is made here, for example. So Carolyn, what do you know about this?
I think we have a lot of ancient grains growing here. Now, there are some we just can't, like quinoa. I don't think we have the right climate for it. I think most quinoa comes from South America. Although, like Tammy said, it's not really an ancient grain. It's a seed, but
yeah.
We use it like a grain. Yeah, I mean, let me look and see where my freekeh came from. That's a really good question.
Freekeh, I think, comes from Africa, I think. I don't think
No, this says it's a product of Turkey. So this is from, freekeh came from Turkey, which is pretty close to Africa, but, it's a Northern African staple. I know there are certain strains of grains that we grow in the United States that have been around and cultivated for hundreds of years, which qualifies them probably as ancient grains. So like different barleys and things. So yeah, I think it just depends on which grain, because there are some that just don't grow here, like quinoa, and apparently freekeh. But there's a really good grower in, I want to say it's Washington State. Let me do some thinking about that, but I've ordered some ancient grains from them that they grow there. Oh, and I'm totally blanking on the name of the company, but
would you, when you find out, would you post later on Facebook or YouTube?
Okay.
Now,
go look for it.
Cody, your pancakes were a hit, and there was a lot of discussion. So here's some of the questions coming in now. So Janice, good to see you, Janice. Can the pancakes be made with all buckwheat flour instead of with half wheat flour?
I would say give it a try. I haven't done that, but Carolyn's saying
yeah, you can.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I seem to recall my mom used to make something like that with all buckwheat flour.
Mhm.
So
You can.
let's see. Oh, and there's an interesting question from Krista. I don't have Facebook anymore, so I can't get the links you post in the chat. The links, hopefully you see on StreamYard, but so Krista, I'll go ahead and post it here again. Hopefully you can. So this is. Did you see? I guess Cody posted. Did you see that, Krista? That's our link. smck.recipe/ancient grains. I hope this is visible because we're putting it on StreamYard. So Krista, let us know if you can't see that. All right, here's a question. A lot of great questions. So Millie, it's good to see you, Millie. I usually use most of the tofu in a day, but what are some suggestions for storing leftover, and what are your thoughts on pressing? So I have something to share about that, and then I'm sure Cody and Carolyn do too. You guys, we're all heavy tofu eaters. I don't know about you two. It's my favorite food. If I were stuck on a desert island, I would want tofu. I just love it. So yeah, tofu can last in your refrigerator for at least 3-4 days. And what you do is you get rid of the water and put fresh water. They say that you should replace the water every day. I don't, but they say you should fresh water every day. I let it be. And then when I use some more tofu, if I don't finish it, then I get rid of the water and put some fresh water. So that's what I would do. Keep it refrigerated, and you can freeze it. Here's a trick about tofu. When you get it, before you even open it, put it straight in the freezer, and then put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw, because then it changes the texture, becomes kind of sponge-like, and I like the texture of it then. And pressing, I'm a lazy cook, and so in theory, I do have a tofu press. And so when I use tofu in a stew, then I don't press it. But when I'm using it in a saute, then I should press it, and I usually don't. But I have a tofu press, and what I do, I'll tell you what would be a good practice, which I do sometimes, but not usually, is you put the tofu in the press and just let it sit and squeeze out as much water as possible over 10-15 minutes. And it just makes it a little bit more absorbent. But I get good results without doing that. I just do a quick squeeze with my hands, and it's good enough. So check it out, Millie, and see what you think. What do you guys think?
I don't even own a tofu press. So if I want to press it, the only time I press it is if I'm making something like tofu steaks or something that I want it to absorb a marinade. If I'm making like tofu scramble, I don't bother pressing it because it's just going in the pan and sauteing, and it's going to steam the liquid out anyway. But if I'm making, grilled tofu steaks, then yeah, I'll press it. What I do is put it between 2 dinner plates, and then just set it on the counter and have the dinner plate on top, and then put a few canned goods on top of it and just let it sit there for like 30 minutes. And then you just pick it up and drain like all the liquid off of it, and it works great. So I've never even bothered buying a tofu press after all these years. I don't even own one. So.
And you have everything, Carolyn. You're so well stocked.
I don't have a tofu press. I don't know where I'd put it, Dilip. I don't have room for it. I don't need it. I have 2 dinner plates. I can just stack it between them. It's fine. And then freezing it is also just a great idea, because it makes it, if you even have leftover, like you just use half the package, just stick the other half of the package in the freezer. And then, the next day, take it out, thaw it, and it gives it that more meaty kind of texture to it. And you can make, chicken nuggets or whatever out of it. So it'll take on that different texture.
Cody, did you want to add anything to that?
So I do have a tofu press that I use if I have the time for it. But usually, like if I'm doing air fried tofu, I usually get it, like I slice the top, drain the water, and I leave it in the container. And I use a knife and I cut like lines, and then I dump it out on a freshly like washed towel and lay it on my counter. And then I cut it into my cubes, lay them out flat, and then put another freshly washed towel on top, like a kitchen towel. And then I just kind of lightly press with my hands, and then that's what I do when I'm in a hurry, and it gets enough out that then it will absorb whatever marinade I put on it. It's usually like a low sodium soy sauce, and then like some garlic and onion powder, and then a little bit of nutritional yeast, and toss it around, and then throw it in the air fryer, and it's done in 15 minutes, So I'm usually pretty quick on my stuff, but if I am planning ahead and wanting to do something a little bit thicker, then I may grab my actual tofu press, and that takes probably like maybe 10 minutes, so yeah.
I can attest to your air fried tofu. The first time I visited you, that's what you made.
That's
It
right.
was around my birthday, and you had a birthday cake for me too.
Yes.
By the way, Anu and I are going to be in Nebraska this summer, and so Cody and I are talking about maybe we're trying to figure out what our August show is, and maybe Cody and I, since we'll be together in July, we'll record that and share a recording. So we're talking
Mhm.
about that. And I don't know, Carolyn, if you've seen this yet. We've been discussing maybe grilling because this is something I know nothing about, and so I can kind of be an I know a tiny bit about grilling inside in terms of roasting corn. So we're thinking if we're going to do a grilling show, this would probably be the one to do because I couldn't do it on my own. I don't have any expertise, but you guys
Mm.
and most others do.
I grill all the time.
I know you do. Yeah. And then Hyacinth, let's add her to the list of people
Mhm.
asking questions. Do you really need to get the water off? And that's kind of what we were saying is,
No.
yeah, if you're putting it in a stew or something, then like the dish I made, if you instead of putting mushrooms, if you put tofu in it, that would remind you, and put some miso in it, by the way, that would be a little bit like a Japanese. It would remind you of noodles, even though it wouldn't be noodles. It would be the kamu. But in that case, I wouldn't get rid of the water. But you know what I do is even when I put in a stew, I still do it just a quick squeeze because it's been sitting that liquid for a while. So why not evacuate the liquid? And the other good thing, even if you're putting it in water, is if you do a gentle squeeze. And I imagine if you were more religious about it and you had a tofu press, when you do put it into the stew, it's going to suck up the flavor more, and the tofu will have more flavor. So
Mhm.
I guess it depends on who you talk with, but it's not a bad idea. It's just like if you're a busy cook, you have a family you're cooking for, or other things going on, that may be one thing you can skip. But if you take the time to do it, and it really doesn't take that much time, it's just one more thing. For me, it's not so much the time; it's like one more thing to clean. I like to clean as I work, and it's like why create one more dish? But if you don't mind doing it, then pressing tofu all the time, including when it's being put in the soup, is a good thing. But it's a lot of times things I'm making have so much flavor that I I can get by without squeezing the tofu. So good question, Hyacinth. James asked, he was asking clarification, does open tofu last 3 to 4 days or cooked? Open tofu, once you open it, it should be good for at least 3 or 4 days. I've had tofu for 5 or 6. Once you get to like a week mark, especially if you haven't been decanting the water, you'll know when it's not usable because you'll start getting some red mold and it'll start smelling bad. So that's what you should watch for. Tempeh is okay because it's a molded product. It's a product of mold, but you'll see some black mold with tempeh, and that's fine. But once tofu gets slimy or has a color or smells, you don't want to use it. Cooked tofu will last even longer. Once you've made a dish with tofu, it'll be good for at least a week, right? So it'll be good for, and you can freeze the cooked tofu, and that'll last for much longer. A lot of great questions. So let's see. Let's see, Millie, thanks for those great yummy tips. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Millie. And here, this is a good question from Kathy. Kathy asks, I wonder if tofu water is like garbanzo beans water. I don't think tofu water is like garbanzo, and you can't make aquafaba with it. I don't think it would work.
Nope, nope.
Okay, here we go. Another interesting question from Kathy Sabo. Is using ancient grains versus ordinary grains just because they're more flavorful? I understand they have a good root system and can't be genetically modified, but are they more flavorful? Or it's just that it's something that people don't know about. They're more flavorful.
Mhm.
Generally, the way Mother Nature creates things, I think, is usually the best. And once we start tampering with it, changing, and a lot of grains are genetically modified, and that's a whole other discussion. Some people say there's absolutely no problem with genetic modification. Some people want to stay away from it. I like to stay away from it. And we can have a discussion if people are interested on GMO. But ancient grains they have more of a bite, like the kamu that I was using. There's a nice bite to it. There's a stronger flavor. I'll tell you, Kathy, there's only two disadvantages. One disadvantage is a lot of these ancient grains aren't as easy to find. And Kamut, for example, used to be available in my cooperative store, and I think at Whole Foods Market. And as I wanted to make this for the show, and I couldn't find it, so I had to buy it on Amazon. I had to buy it online. So that's one disadvantage, and that's because there's not more of a demand for it. And the second disadvantage is they're more expensive. So those are just the two disadvantages. But nutritionally, they tend to be much, much more nutritious than regular grains. I know Brenda Davis. She often watches her show. I don't know if you're watching, but hello, Brenda, if you're watching, and thank you so much. Brenda always does an amazing, yeah. She always does an amazing appendix for our shows. And Brenda puts a lot of time into the appendix. When she gets a show, she actually cooks, she makes a dish, she photographs it beautifully, and then she writes a lovely appendix. So Brenda was very excited when we suggested doing ancient grains. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. Is rice an ancient grain? I guess so, but I don't know. What do you think, Carolyn and Cody? It's not usually called an ancient grain, but I don't know. It's been grown forever.
I mean, brown rice is a whole grain, a whole intact grain, but I don't know that it's, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different varieties of brown rice that would be hard to, I mean, there's basmati and lots of other kinds. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I think there may be some varieties of brown rice that are ancient grains, but I don't think that means all brown rice is.
Yeah, it's generally not called an ancient grain. So, but it's a good question because as far as I know, I wish Karen were on the show. As far as I know, as soon as I stop talking, I'll send Karen a text and get her input. But as far as I know, rice is one of the premier crops that humans started farming. So I don't think it can be more ancient than that. So let me send her a quick message. But here's and Janet has a comment. I love the Kamut puffed cereal. I used to buy that quite often by Kashi, I believe. Very, very nice. Okay, and then here's a question. If I use rice, I like brown or basmati. I've never heard of it being an ancient grain. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Okay. Here's a set of questions from Patricia. Carolyn, would you text Karen with those questions? But yeah, so Patricia, good question. Several questions. Dilip, what kind of kale? I'm so glad you asked that because I hope I put it in the recipe document, but in my recipe, I prefer to use lacinato kale, which is dinosaur kale. I usually don't buy lacinato kale, but I find it's a little bit more firm and it holds up in the soup. So excellent question. I'm so glad you asked me. I do prefer, that's the one dish I prefer, or any kind of soup that I prefer, lacinato kale. Otherwise, use whatever kale you want. Use green kale, red kale. Red kale is really purple, but it's called red kale. There's a variety of kinds of kale, so any kind of kale is fine, and kale is super nutritious. But I do, for this dish, prefer the dinosaur or lacinato kale. And Shoba couldn't join Q&A. Can I use green mung beans? I will ask her. Can I purchase hing? Oh, and if you want, we can spend some time talking about hing. Yeah, you can buy hing in an Indian specialty store. A lot of us don't know what hing is, and I'll tell you what hing is. Hing, I prefer to call it hing, the Indian name. The American name is way too complicated. It's called asafoetida powder. And where hing comes from, it has a strong flavor. I don't like the flavor of hing, but and later in the show, if anybody wants, I can go in a little more detail. But there's a significant number of people from India. My mom, who passed away, but when she was alive, my mom being one, who wouldn't eat onions or garlic. And so when you have a dish that requires like a little punch of a flavor, so in the Indian culture, if you're serving people who don't eat onions and garlic, among, for example, Jains, Jainism is the world's oldest religion, then you could use asafoetida powder. It has a strong smell, and I never liked it. I definitely preferred the garlic, but my mom would use asafoetida powder or hing in her cooking. And as far as I know, the only place to buy, you can buy it online, I'm sure, but locally, the only place is any Indian grocery store should have hing. You should be able to find it. And then in terms of green mung beans, I think so. In a khichdi, of course, I think you certainly can. But let me get her take on it. But let's see some more questions.
I have an answer to the question about brown rice.
Go
So
ahead.
brown rice is a whole grain, but it is not generally considered an ancient grain because it has been modified and cultivated over the centuries. So ancient grains have not been modified or cultivated and had significant changes made to them over the centuries. So, but yeah, looks like brown rice has undergone modern cultivation and selection, and so that makes it not an ancient grain anymore.
I'm just sending a quick message to Shoba. I'm so terrible at typing on my phone, so what should take a second takes a long time. Cody knows that.
I was like, question mark?
Like, what are you saying, Dilip?
Carolyn knows that too.
I can give you my interpretation of what you said, but
Usually can kind of decipher what you might have meant, but sometimes I just have to text back, what?
Well, you you guys all know, probably most people in the audience know, I'm also a teacher, when parents start contacting me by text, I have to tell them, I promise when you look at my text, I promise I have more than a high school education. I went to college and several graduate schools, although my text look.
We have to teach you how to talk to text. It works really well.
Yeah, I should do that.
That might work a little better than trying to type.
So Kathy, yeah. So when you market things, you can say whatever you want, right? So
Yes.
So I don't think ancient grains is officially has to be called that. So yeah.
I think
Diane,
there's actually a brand called Ancient Grains, but that doesn't mean that they are made of ancient grains. It's just their brand name. So I think that way they get away with calling it ancient grains. With the truth in advertising laws, they, if it says contains ancient grains, then it really should have to. But if the brand name is just ancient grains, that doesn't really mean that it contains ancient grains. That's just their brand name. So.
And Patricia, yeah, green mung is very common in Indian cooking with khichdi. That's what my mom would typically use, or would often use. And that's what Shobha has responded. She said, I like it best actually with green mung. She says that's the best. And she soaks it overnight with the mung. So lots of good questions. So Hyacinth has a question. What is farro? Farro is delicious. Carolyn, do you want to talk about farro a bit? I love farro.
Yeah. Farro is so interesting. I actually did I don't remember when it was, probably our first or second year, I made a farro and peach salad that is one of my very favorites. Farro is actually just a type of ancient wheat that was used as currency, like as money in ancient.
Wow.
So they would trade bags of farro for things. It was money to the ancient Romans. So it has been around a very long time. It has a really nice texture and bite to it. It's really one of my very favorite grains. I really do love farro. You can do an awful lot with it. Like replace, if you have something with brown rice, like a pilaf, just cook farro and replace the brown rice with farro. And you'll actually get a little more nutritional bang for your buck that way too, because farro has a lot of protein plus a lot of minerals. A lot of fiber. It's super good for you. Probably one of my favorite grains.
So Janet has had some good questions, and this is what I do and my mom has done, that you can use any kind of lentil. So khichdi can be made with any kind of lentil, yellow lentil, brown lentils. I like it with brown lentils. It's quite good. And so does Cody. Not Cody, so does Shobha. I've made it with pulao style with brown lentils too. And she mentioned in terms of the green mung, one nice thing about it is when you soak it overnight, it's just 2 minutes in under pressure. So that's good. So yeah, so lentils are very, very versatile. Okay, here we go. So James, I already mentioned this. Okay, here we go. Lots of great. Keep the questions coming. This is great. Did your older shows get converted to your new naming syntax? No. So it's the same. So it would take too long to do that. In theory, we could, but then we'd have to change the document itself because the top of the document says what the name is. So no. But I like this convention. Give us feedback if you don't, because I now have this. I purchased this naming system, and I purchased smck.recipes. And if you just say smck.recipes, it just goes to somanykooks.com. But speaking of website, we're having, I don't know if you two know this, but we're having a few technical problems with our website, and search may not work well for a little while, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So the main website opens, but if you're searching, it may we're having some issues. Kathy, no, there's not one location. There's the link, and I'll take you to that particular document. Let's see. Oh yeah, Kathy, we already mentioned this. Let's see. I know there was more questions. Do you need to get the water off tofu? Okay, I think I'm caught up with the questions, but if I didn't answer your and Diane, it's really good to see you. We haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice to see you on the show. So okay, so I had a couple questions while we're waiting for questions from our audience. So Carolyn, I was surprised by something you said. I generally don't like parsley very much. I don't mind it, but I don't go out of my way to get it. It's just the flavor profile for some reason it doesn't appeal to me. It's okay, but I was surprised it's that nutritious. It's like this tiny little thing, and it seems like it's all water. And can you talk a little bit more about that? That's really interesting.
Parsley's super good for you.
Wow,
It's
I didn't know.
that in restaurants they use it as that little
Sprig.
There's something they just throw on. It's like, here's your homage to green right there. They just throw a little sprig on. I mean, it's just so good for you. It cleanses your palate. It actually can give you fresh breath. I mean, it's like it's fantastic. But yeah, lots of vitamins, A, C, K, folate, iron, calcium. It's loaded with calcium. So, and lots of fiber, obviously. It's a green vegetable. It's just smaller leaves. So
Wow.
yeah.
I'll buy some today.
Yeah,
We're
it's
going to be
really
shopping.
good. Well, a traditional tabbouleh salad, that's basically what tabbouleh salad is a parsley salad. It's
That's
like
right.
mostly parsley. And so you could, swap out other things besides the freekeh. I just like freekeh in it because it has so much flavor. It's just, just even like smelling the bag, opening the bag and just like, wow, it has a lot of aroma. So yeah, I think it makes tabbouleh really a lot better.
Carolyn, is years ago I tried a number of times to make my own tabbouleh, and I never liked it, but I guess I shouldn't have given up. I should persist because like all of us, I'm pretty good at getting in the kitchen and just whipping something up, and it tends to come out well. That's one of the things I do many things poorly, but that's one thing I do well. But my tabbouleh, 2, 3, 4 times I made it didn't come out well, and I guess I need to try it. It was years ago. It was even before I was a Food for Life instructor. I gave up. So when I want tabbouleh, I just buy it. But
yeah, this recipe is so easy that I think you could put this together and hopefully decide you like it. But the cool thing about parsley is, like, if you didn't like it a few years back, your taste may have changed.
Yeah.
You got older, so maybe you would like it now. I mean, when I first met my husband, he did not like raw parsley. He also did not like grapefruits. I mean, like, there were certain things he didn't like, and now he loves them. So, your taste can change.
Yeah, it could change. And it's not that I haven't had parsley. I do get parsley when my wife likes it, so she'll buy it, and I'll have a little bit. Or if you go to a Middle Eastern restaurant, it's on top of the baba ganoush, for example. So I've had it, but yeah, I'll buy some. I have to mention something really interesting about food because we'll be shopping tonight. Those of you in the audience know I teach math and food. So today, in a couple hours, I'm meeting a bunch of my students, second and third graders mostly, and we're doing a food and math event. So we're doing a cutting thing. There's a fun math problem. It's called the pizza, how you can cut pizza. With one slice, you get one slice of straight cut. You get 2 pieces. With two slices of your knife, you get 4 pieces. But I'll leave a challenge to you guys to imagine with 3 slices, you can actually get 7 pieces. So if you wanted to do a little bit of math, see what the pattern is and what you'd get with the next piece and how to do it. And we'll be doing that. It'll be lots of fun. Okay, so Kathy. Okay. Yeah, Diane, and thanks, Diane, for your very, very nice comment. That was very nice. It's always great seeing you on the show as well. So Diane mentioned the bright citrus and tabbouleh. Sounds like, yeah, that's right. You know that I love citrus.
Lots of lemons. You could even throw orange juice in. Throw in
tangerine.
Squeeze some of those pixie tangerine. Why not? I mean,
yeah.
Fresh lemons, but I mean,
yeah.
Hey.
I talk a lot about triple cross, but this year there's been 2 other really stars in the citrus group. One is in the late fall, early winter, we had honey bells. No, sorry, sugar bells. Those were so good. And apparently now they're being grown in Georgia. I'm in North Carolina, so it's not so far. I've been talking to my wife. Maybe we should invest in a sugar bell farm just to own some property in Georgia and have them ship me sugar bells. And then the pixies are always good. So pixies are kind of a letdown. And I bought my local co-op. I've been going to each of the locations and buying out all that's left because they're at the end of their thing. Okay, there was a few more questions. Oh yeah, so Millie mentioned sometimes add parsley to green juices. Okay, and then here's a question for you, Carolyn. With the Freekeh salad, will it hold up well for travel, brown lunch, and how long in the refrigerator? Not familiar with it.
It's probably going to last a few days, but because the tomatoes are cut in half, that would be probably the limiting factor. The cut tomatoes, cut cucumbers. What you could do is save the lemon juice and not put it on until right before you serve it. So that way it's not starting to break down the tomatoes. But because I think the tomatoes will break down before everything else in here. So yeah.
And I guess what you could do is keep the tomatoes separate and just mix it in when it's fresh.
And the lemon juice, like tomatoes and lemon separate, and then add both of those things at the end. So yeah, that would probably, if you're traveling with it. I mean, it'll last, it'll still be good tomorrow for lunch. So, but beyond that, I don't know. Probably won't last just because we'll eat it all. But it's really good.
So Kathy, we are having we have a show every single month. For the last 2 years, I guess now we take a break in November and December. Not really a break, but we rebroadcast holiday favorites. So our July show is going to be on savory, and I'll show it to you. It's going to be on savory. I'll show. We'll disappear just for a second. That's going to be the show. So many savory fruit dishes. So that should be a fun show.
I didn't know that. I hadn't been keeping up. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that one,
I'm thinking of doing something with mango. I love mango. What's so nice about being a teacher is my students' families often give me things, and I've had several families give me. Well, one family has been giving me these amazing mangoes that are from different parts, South India, and varieties I've never had. For last week, they gave me these mangoes that were very unique. They smelled so strongly. They were more like jackfruit than mango. My family liked it, but not as much as some others. But it was fun to try new varieties. So I'm thinking of doing something with mango. Yeah. So yeah, we won't let you down, Kathy. We still are planning on doing monthly shows. Millie has a comment. It can be used in mason jar salad. Okay. Cody, I wanted you to talk a little bit about pancakes because you're really good at pancakes. And aren't they called in the Midwest flapjacks? And can you talk a little bit more about buckwheat and gluten-free? How's the flavor different? And do you feel if you make gluten-free that you sacrifice anything?
Okay, so I've eaten many, many, many pancakes growing up. We've always called them pancakes, but I've heard them called flapjacks by other people. Let's see. So buckwheat, gluten-free, I think they're more flavorful than just your regular flour pancakes. I love the combination with the whole wheat, but I'm definitely going to try with just the buckwheat now. I don't know. I love the flavor. I love the texture of it. The kids just devour them. They're gone. I mean, as you can see, they're not around. We ate them all. It was a great snack. And so versatile. So, again, they're very healthy. They got a lot of minerals, magnesium. I'm trying to think of what else. I think B6. I mean, it's a great anti-inflammatory type of food to incorporate into your eating pattern. So yeah, I'd say give it a try, and I think I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but I thought the Ukraine makes a lot of grows a lot of buckwheat, but I don't know where else. Do you guys?
Well, Ukraine grows a lot of wheat. I think we call ourselves the breadbasket of, you're the breadbasket of America, right? Nebraska, Iowa, that kind of thing.
I think they also do buckwheat, but I didn't know where else they grew buckwheat. And I think buckwheat, it's like, actually it's a seed of a flower of a plant that's like related to the rhubarb plant. So I thought that was interesting too when I was looking into it, but that's a fun one to try for sure. And then I also mentioned, cornmeal. We eat a lot of corn in the Midwest. So I grew up eating a lot of corn pancakes too. I think my dad calls those hoe cakes.
Okay. Yeah, we call them that in the South. So
they used to cook. What was it? Cooking on the back of a hoe or something, or I don't know.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I guess
it's like a really old recipe.
I'm not really sure why they're called that. I don't know. Google that.
Do either of you guys know anything about spelt flour? Oh, and I want to make a quick comment too. What Cody was saying is my mom was fairly traditional in many ways and used a lot of old world customs. And I know there were certain holidays or certain periods where she wouldn't eat wheat, but she would eat buckwheat, and there was a reason for it. I can't remember what it was. Would either of you guys like to talk about spelt flour?
Well, spelt's an ancient grain. So I use it all the time, actually, when I'm cooking. I substitute for, if something calls for 1.5 cups of regular flour, I'll probably substitute at least half a cup of spelt into it because it increases the protein, increases a lot of the minerals. So it'll up the nutritional game, for what we're making. So, and I meant to tell you guys, I have discovered The most interesting thing lately, and it hit me when I was watching Cody make pancakes, I have discovered just the craziest thing. When I've been making pancakes, every recipe I've ever made with pancakes, muffins, anything baked, I've been throwing in just like a tablespoon or two of sparkling mineral water into it. Oh my goodness, it makes everything so much more light and fluffy. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's my newest, really interesting baking discovery. I've been meaning to tell you.
That's nice. Yeah, I make cake like for birthdays and my special occasions, and I use sparkling water for that too.
Yeah, it would be good and I think maybe just a tablespoon or two in my pancakes. The last time I made pancakes, I had oatmeal pancakes I like to make, and I just threw in a couple tablespoons of sparkling mineral water, and they're just so much lighter and fluffier.
Cool. I'm gonna give that a try, Carolyn. Thanks.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Kathy's asking, do ancient grains need longer? And I think the answer is yes, the experience I have. So, for example, Kamut, you need to soak it overnight, and then it takes 22 minutes of pressure cooking. That's a long time. Or you can slow cook through much of the day. So I think a number of ancient grains do require longer to cook. Certainly Kamut does. I don't know if either of you have any other proof points.
Well, I think it depends. Like quinoa is considered an ancient grain, but it doesn't take very
Instant, almost instant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes or less. Yeah,
No, it's even less. If you keep the heat on, it's like 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's so fast.
Very fast.
Yes.
I taught a food for life class yesterday. I don't know if any of the students are on. If you are, hello. And we were one of the things we used was quinoa, and I had so much to share yesterday. I forgot to say anything about quinoa and how I did it. It was just a ingredient we made a stir fry with that as one ingredient. Okay, let's do the drawing in a moment. Let's just give everybody else a chance. One last moment for any more questions. So yeah, sparkling water. Oh yeah, there was another question also from Kathy. Non-vegan pancakes seem to be better with buttermilk. Have you tried mimicking buttermilk with vinegar to see if it would
Easy.
enhance?
Yeah. Soy milk and add a little white vinegar or apple cider vinegar to it. So, if it calls for a cup of buttermilk in the recipe, just use a little bit less than a cup of soy milk. Soy milk works best to make buttermilk out of because it has a little more fat in it. So it's going to curdle a little more like buttermilk. It doesn't curdle as well. Like if you're trying to use almond milk or
Oat milk?
Oat milk doesn't work quite as well. So
Rice
soy milk works the best. And then just like a tablespoon of either lemon juice or vinegar of some kind. And it'll let it sit aside and let it curdle, and you've made buttermilk.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I know in Indian cooking, my mom would often use buttermilk. She wasn't vegan, and she used lots of milk, lots of ghee, and yeah, buttermilk she would use.
She was vegetarian.
Oh, lifelong vegetarian, absolutely, lifelong vegetarian. All right, so let's see how many people have asked questions?
I got a list of 7.
Okay, can you read the list?
I got Kathy, Janet, Janice, Millie, Hyacinth, I can't see that, sorry. James and Patricia.
All right, well, let's spin then. So 7. The first thing we'll give away is the book called Ancient Grains, and then we'll give away the subscription. So I'm going to go to random.org, and I'm going to say, please give me a number from 1 to 7. So here goes. The winner of the book is number 4. So who's 4?
That would be Millie.
Millie, congratulations. So I'm going to just make a notebook. So if you win, please send a note. Karen's having some problems with her email, so send it both to Karen and me. And you can reach us by using our first name at somanycooks.com. Let me type it here. I'll say congratulations to Millie for winning Ancient Grains, the book. So winning the Ancient Grains book. Okay, please email both Karen at somanycooks.com and Dilip at somanycooks.com with your mailing address. Okay, so don't post it here, please, but here, Millie, go ahead and do that. So send us, and the next winner too, Karen at somanycooks.com and Dilip at somanycooks.com. So you will enjoy the book, Millie. It looks really, really nice. Okay. All right, the second winner of the Vegetarian Resource Group, which is a group out of Baltimore. I went to college in Baltimore. It's a very nice magazine. It covers lots of cool topics, and it's been publishing forever, at least 25 or 30 years, at least, probably longer. So the winner of that is number 6. Who's number 6?
That would be James.
James, congratulations. So James, you win the VRG magazine. So confirm, please, that you're here, James, and we'll get you the magazine. Just send us a note. And I think that you guys sent us a note last month about dates. So so James, if you're here, go ahead. If you're still here, go ahead and comment. We'll give you a moment. So yeah, we can start wrapping up the show and talking about our future shows. So next show is going to be on savory fruit dishes.
What
So
date is that, Dylan?
I can't remember. It's like July. I don't remember.
Probably not the 4th of July weekend, I would know.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's probably the weekend after is what I'm remembering. So do either of you guys have an idea of what you might do? A savory fruit? I thought it would be a good thing to do because fruit is so prevalent in the summer. But yes,
Yeah.
Krista, you can.
I
So
might do
Chris,
some type of salsa or something.
okay, yeah, Krista, that sounds good. I'll put your name down, Krista. So Krista, go ahead and email us, and we'll get you the magazine. Sorry, Cody, you were saying some sort of salsa, right?
I think so.
Yeah. When you make salsa, do you make it really hot or just put a little bit of spice? I know you and your husband like really spicy, but the kids may not.
I do like a light, like not too heavy of a heat, just in case. 'Cause I want to make sure the kids feel welcome to try it, you know?
Yeah. And what are you thinking, Carolyn?
Maybe some kind of stone fruit salad with basil and vinegar and some tofu feta. Could be interesting. Like a savory salad of fruit.
Yeah, I think it should be an interesting show to see what people put together and come up with interesting combinations. So that should be a good show. And then we're discussing the August show, and because I'm going to be visiting Cody, we were thinking we could do something and record it. So we're thinking maybe of grilling. We haven't finalized that. And then who knows for September and October, and then November and December will probably be holiday replays. Krista, you won the Vegetarian Resource Group. That is it. And if you would rather get Veg News, we can probably switch you, or we can extend your subscription. So email us, let us know what you'd prefer. Okay. And Krista, if you prefer, we could even switch out the well, no, let's stick with the magazine. So let us know if you want to extend your VRG magazine or if you want to get Veg News, we can do that. And if anybody has any thoughts for our August show, as well as September and October, please share. You can email any of us, firstname@somanycooks.com. Okay. All right. Cody, do you have any parting words about ancient grains?
Oh, just give them a try, pick one and go with it. And there's lots of good recipes that we've just shared with you. So you have the video demo and you have the recipe document. So give it a go. Let us know what you think.
Carolyn, any thoughts?
Yep, same thing. Just give them a try. I mean, Freekeh is a little harder to find, but it's really worth it if you can find it. Just delicious.
A long time ago, Mark did a recipe with Freekeh.
Oh, really? I didn't remember that. Okay.
Oh, you have a comment, Cody.
Oh. Yeah, I love it when they pop on and help out. So unfortunately they did today. They did eat the pancakes, but you didn't get to see them.
And Millie has a very nice comment. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And my parting comments. Oh, and here.
Oh. Yay. Hello, Kathy. Thank you.
They are very sweet, aren't they? I'm looking forward to seeing them. So yeah, I think my parting comments too is ancient grains are fun. The downside is it's harder to find. They're more expensive, but they're not that expensive. Like a thing of the ancient grains of the Kamut, for example, is like $20, but it lasts a long time. It makes a lot of grains. So I don't know if you're on a strict budget, then some of the ancient grains may be difficult to afford, and I can understand passing them, but they generally are much more nutrient dense, and they're just another good thing about ancient grains is it gives you some variety in your diet. If you're used to couscous, then try something else, and it'll maybe remind you of couscous, but be different. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. Krista, email both me and Karen. So Karen at so-many-cooks.com and Dilip at so-many-cooks.com, both. And Karen said that, I think she said her email's working again, but send it to both of us. Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then we will look forward to seeing you next month for Savory Fruit. And there's one more comment. Let's see what this comment is. Oh, okay. So we will see you next month. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen, with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen, with ideas we're happy to share.